Right, so coming back into focus, right before we ended last time, we looked at the short run equilibrium position if we are making abnormal profit. And as we looked at the position, we're able to see again, you have your AR curve on the outside, our MR on the inside. The AR is also equal to demand, and we know where do we set our profit maximizing position when we're doing these diagrams, where MR is equal to MC. So just confirm for me that you can see my mouse moving on the screen, the cursor. Yes, no? Right, confirm. Yeah, so MR is equal to MC. This is where we at. And again, we use, as we've been doing all the time with monopolistic competition and what's not, you go up, BOPs, and you come across, that is our price, and this is our quantity that we will be selling at. How do we determine the cost or the bottom part of the boundary to see if we are, or where it cuts this profit maximizing line here, the quantity line? It is where the AC is, and we draw in our AC curve, and you see where it cuts it, we come across, and this shaded area is the abnormal profit that the monopolistic competition is making. And yeah, it's a shaded area. There's the equilibrium position in the short run. Again, just wanted to go that through with you. It's the same thing we did too when we had our diagram yesterday, my diagram. It's a bit, no, mine is a bit neater, well, but the same point it brings out, right? Are we making sense here, folks? Are we making sense here? All right, give me a 1 in the chat if we making sense. Give me a 1 in the chat if we making sense. Looking at the observations from this curve, I think yesterday we ended just at a graph because it was a short session. This one might be a reasonably much shorter too, but yeah, at the profit maximizing output, which is MR is equal MC, we say in the monopolistic competitive form is making abnormal profit, right? Competitive form is making abnormal profits in the short run since AR is more than AC, right? Q1, well, in this case here, Q1 is the profit maximizing output, and the shaded area is abnormal profit. Again, remember a very important thing we said is that in this industry here, there is freedom of entry and exit, right? Meaning, remember when we looked at perfect competition, what happened when persons make profit? Remind me in the chat, what happens when persons make profit? What happens after that? To other forms. What does it do to other forms? Right? It entices other forms to want to join, right? It entices other forms to want to join, or meaning they want to go in the industry. If I am selling duck curry and you're selling chicken curry, right? And I'm seeing that duck is more lucrative, I might want to leave chicken and go into duck, right? It's just a basic example, but that is what it is, right? So, so what happens now? So the abnormal profits encourage new forms to enter. As we were saying, you're making profit. There's nothing stopping persons from entering. The market share of each form is then diluted, and this reduces abnormal profit as shown above, right? As the demand for each form reduces, the demand curve shifts to the left, and this is now what going to be shown below, right? So I will draw a diagram here to bring this out first, but let me see if you can follow first. So look at this diagram, right? Let's see, there's a lot going on here. I'll draw it and then I'll explain it here, then I'll draw another one just to get as much explanation in, right? So again, this is our demand curve or our AR curve. This is our MR curve, right? AR, MR, right? We are looking at AR1 and MR1. We're looking at regular AR and MR, right? The curves AC and MC is the same, right? So again, you draw your AR, you draw your MR. Where's the next thing we do? MR is equal to MC, right? You see the MR and MC cut at this point, right? MR cuts MC and AC is here. You go up and that would be your abnormal profit region. But now we're saying because of that, firms are going to enter and demand is going to shift to the left. So demand curve, which is AR now, is going to shift to AR1. And MR going to shift into MR1. And this is going to be the new profit maximizing output. And you see, when you go up, right, let me annotate a bit. Yeah, as you go up, the new profit maximizing position is where, again, MR is equal to MC, right? This was the first MR is equal to MC here, right? And this would have been our abnormal profit because this is our AR and is our AC. But now at this level, our new AR, which is this here, and our new and our old AC is at the same level. So there is normal profit, right? Again, this is because of the freedom of entry and exit. Again, follow me. I'll draw one from scratch to help us, right? Let's go over to it now. Right? There's our output. I'm just gonna put this Q. So we're saying this is our AR curve. AR and also our demand curve. Again, stuff that we know. This here now is our MR curve. Put in, this is our MR, right? Again, stuff that we know. So what happened now is that MR and MC, oh, let me get a different ink. MC is in this bright yellow here. MC. Right? Who is following so far? If you're following so far, tell me a yes. You're following what is happening so far. Please, all of you indicate that you understand what's going on so far. I mean, nothing complex, but I just want to make sure we following the curves that are laid out. Just a spot check, right? Again, the profit maximizing position, Chandani, MR is equal to MC here, right? So bam, and come down now. Again, remember when you're drawing these things, you're drawing it to tell your story. This is where the quantity is. And it's a little scrawly, but this is fine. This is where so this is quantity. All right, let's say this is Q. Let's use 1. No, let's just use Q. And this is P. Right? This is the price that they maximize at. Right? So we say now at this current level, because at this current level here, when we add in our AC curve, which might look something like this here, let's say AC is like right? This is our AC, right? So follow me. So again, at this point here, this is where we can draw off and come off on our AC. This is where this cut, this shaded area here is abnormal profit. Confirm with me that you're still following and you understand why we currently have abnormal profit. Give me a clear in the chat if you understand how we have abnormal profit at this level here right now, before I start shifting stuff. Right, I add in our AC. Yeah, so going back now, what I'm gonna do, I just wanna take out a small amount of drawings to ensure I don't have too much thing to confuse you, huh? Oh, no, no, no. All right, well, we gotta live with that. Yeah, anyways. So as we said, just like perfect competition, just like perfect competition, this one here has a similar setup. What happening is that forms can enter and exit freely. And what this translates to is that these two curves are going to shift in, right? Let me say it shift in. Right? You understand why they're shifting in? Because other forms are going to enter and the other forms are going to enter the market, and the current form that will not be facing a demand curve like this here, it will be facing a demand curve that has become diminuted, right? It gets smaller then, right? So this here might cause our AR to shift to somewhere till here, perhaps, right? I use a different ink to show you, right? So this now is our AR curve, which is our new demand curve as well, right? Again, nothing is happening with costs. The form is facing the same cost as before. So now this is now AR1 and is also now our D1, right? Or this here could have been AR1 and this here can be now AR2, but we use it like this here, right? So this is our new AR1. And now we have a new MR1 as well. So MR shifting too, mind you, right? So MR shifting. So I'm just gonna show arrow. This is MR shifting. Let's say it comes somewhere. Wait, I need to shift it in a way that it tells the same story, what I am looking for. Bear with me 1 second. I want to reshift back this same demand curve. So draw my AC curve kind of weird. This is why I'm in a problem now. Then think about this here. Yeah, that's good for us. Yeah, so as I was saying, AR will now shift in to touch this here. Let me say perhaps like that. This is our new AR curve. So just as you can see, I extended the AC a little bit to tell the story that we want to tell here. And again, our AR curve, our MR curve now has to come in, let me say somewhere like, so MR shifts in somewhere here, something like that. Right, and remember what is the profit maximizing position as we said? MR is equal to MC, not true? MR is equal to MC. So this is the new MR curve that we have to go with. We have to go with this new MR curve here, which is MR1, right? So this is the new MR curve. The old MR curve, we shocking it out, right? We shocking it out. So this here, no long in effect. This here, no long in effect, right? So again, watch what's gonna happen. So MR is equal to MC is the profit maximizing output. Again, please ensure that you're following. MR and equal to MC. This is our MC, right? If you want me to take out, so again, we shock them out, we might as well take it off. So this here gone. Sorry, wrong thing on. This here gone, this here gone, right? What happened again? MR is equal to MC. This is the profit maximizing output here. Let me use a different thing, please. Bear with me. Yeah, MR is equal to MC. We go up. And we selling at the same price. However, you see the firm is making, they're selling at a smaller quantity at the same price. So this here can be Q1 now. Q1 is a smaller quantity because it is shifted in closer to the origin. And however, you see AR and AC at this same point, both of them intersect. So that means that we are making, that both are equal and we are making normal profits, right? Normal profit because AR is equal to AC at this level. AR is equal to AC at this level. Remember, this previous level we had, AR was more than AC, but now AR is equal to AC, right? And that is why we say we having the normal profit, right? So yeah, just something to ponder on, something that you will look back at this video if you need help with. If you have any questions right now, I'm happy to clear them up. Please tell me. So again, that was the short term when we are making an abnormal profit. We looked at abnormal profit instead of loss because we said most times these firms have the ability to set prices and differentiate the products. So most times they will make an abnormal profit. This is why we look at it from the scenario. And again, we looked at what's going to happen in the long run. Now, profits going to attract other companies to enter. And look at it. Look at any industry, food, clothing, you know, any industry we look at that is considered perfectly, monopolistically competitive, right? It's going to attract firms to enter because they want that money. And over time, you notice it in real life, the goods get, there's an increase in demand, right? And too much firms would go in and they would oversupply, and each singular firm would face now a smaller demand curve because again, too much competition is on the market. So that is actually the long run curve, right? The long run equilibrium. This is why we say in here, in the long run in this structure, in the long run, firms in this structure are normal profits since AR is equal to AC. This is what we just looked at, despite the firm producing at its profit maximizing output. This is because both MR and MC have been reduced as shown above. And again, this is just the same diagram after the shift is accounted for, right? We shift from AR1 to AR2 just to show you again that at MR is equal to MC, the new MR, when you go up, AC and AR is at the same level, showing an abnormal profit, right? This is our AC curve, and this is our AR curve. This diagram here already shifting. It got some invisible things there. Well, the diagram ain't got it, but in reality, right, there was a other AR somewhere outside, right, a AR1, and there was a MR1 somewhere here, right? But this curve already catered for that. And say, okay, we shift in, and this is, we at our long run equilibrium because we're making normal profits, because again, at the profit maximizing output, which is here, MR is equal to MC. When you go up and look at where our curves fall, AR and AC is at the same place, meaning the average revenue we gain is equal to our average cost whenever we produce a product. So we will be making normal profits going forward, right? So our long run equilibrium will always be this here in this monopolistic competition, normal profits, right? And that for the most part wraps up monopolistic competition and market structures. We will now go into further questions to examine each of them, some CSEC questions and what's not. Let me stop sharing then. Oh no,